Hello everyone, this is a quick, not sponsored look at one of the latest LEGO Speed Champions cars. It's the Porsche 963 LMDh car. This has 280 pieces, and I did the build live over on my Twitch channel. You can find, of course, linked in the video description and on the main channel page. And this cost me $25 US, the standard current price for the 8-wide era Speed Champions cars in 2023, and you can find it tagged on the video if you'd like to see more. Of course, I will show the minifigure later as usual, but I want to give you just a quick bit of context because LEGO has done a prototype style, a full-bodied prototype style closed canopy Porsche before, and I brought one out right here, the 919. So for the sake of establishing context, this is what LEGO used to do. This was their best shot at the 919. See how it kind of looks like just a regular car? See how it looks very not right by comparison? And this was a pretty good effort for its day, but you look at the modern generation, what they can do with the current pieces, it's just, and with the much larger size, of course, it just blows the old ones away. Immediately puts this in a very, very positive light. The build process for this was pretty good. There's a lot of foundational stuff that occurs first, and then the final details kind of come together very, very quickly towards the end, but it does have a ton of stickers. And I'm not one to complain too much about stickers because I do Gundam builds that have literally hundreds plural of stickers, or even worse, well, more difficult to do, more time consuming to do, water slide decals, as well as sometimes dry transfer decals. But, you know, this is a race car, and it does have a full race car livery, and they needed to try to put the proper lines on and everything. And this is kind of the early reveal or unveiling livery of the thing. But you're either going to use a ton of one-off, one-use printed parts, or you're going to do it with stickers. And LEGO generally does it with stickers, so it's just something that you got to kind of live with. I did my best to figure out, and you'll see some spots where you might be able to tell if you look really closely, if you must, that I repositioned some of these stickers. I did my best to come up with the look that I would be happiest with as far as the positions, in terms of deciding whether to put stickers directly right next to each other or to try to split the difference depending upon which would look worse, honestly. And I tried to go with the ones, with the setups that would look better overall for the whole thing. And some of that required a little bit of trial and error, like these here. I first started aligning them to the back, and then I realized that the gap in the front looked even worse than the gap at the back. So I went here because keep putting those front ones together really helped to sell it compared to over here, where I would really like this black to continue all the way through, because it does on the real thing. It's all part of the side window, and I ended up just splitting the difference. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff like that that definitely needs to be done and can make a big difference on this. But ignoring the stickers, just the plain build is nice, and I love how low, wide it is. Yeah, it's definitely a generation or two, I'd say a generation and a half beyond what we had before. This build back here at the tail is especially satisfying to me. It's one of the earliest bits, and it's easy, but it just, the way that everything just fits in there so tightly makes for a really nice compact sub-assembly all together. It's two sub-assemblies that go together to make one, and I love it. Just felt so right. It felt so good to me. Other than that, there aren't a lot of things on this that are particularly super tricky. You know, it's not one of the Speed Champion sets that will shock you if you're a regular builder too much. Some of the new pieces might, but I'm not going to go into new pieces in every single video. Those have already been covered in so many sponsored videos and on so many websites and everything. Definitely go out there. I personally recommend the New Elementary, which is a site that's primarily dedicated to looking at parts, new parts, cataloging and categorizing new parts and showing how they can be used and everything. Just a good one place to go, rather than me trying to point out, oh, look, this is a piece that you haven't seen before in 2023. Well, if this isn't the first of my videos that has that piece in it that you see, well, it's just going to be repeated information. So that's the last that I'll say about that. The canopy is a new piece, though. 4 studs wide I just wanted to point that out because it's easy for that to be missed here. In an unprinted form, this is going to be a really interesting, really useful part for smaller scale builds. And interestingly, this does have doors that can technically open, but only a little bit. The doors were just put there for the sake of texture, and they're shaping on the outside. Not a whole lot going on with the interior of this, and this does use an old style of chassis to get the driver to sit down pretty dang low. It doesn't use one of the newer wide Speed Champion base pieces, but just all in all, this is very good. I did mention though that it's not perfect. Let me explain why. I'm just going to go with the picture that Lego itself supplies for that car. Just look at how rounded this is, not just with the fenders, but especially with the greenhouse with the side window there. It just has that classic 911 derived shape. It's very flat on the base of it, and it's very curved back here. It's a long curve. It goes all the way back to the Volkswagen Beetle, and then the original 911, 912. So we saw this very clearly on the 911 GT, or is it GT1? I think it's 911 GT1, the one that they made the Strassen version of, that was technically a 911, but technically also very, very bespoke. Not the one that was closer to this, but a classic style. And you just compare that to this just doesn't capture that, especially here, and a lot of that comes down to the stickers and the printing as well on this canopy. Just where is that height? It needs more height. The black needs to be taller and needs to be much rounder. And that could have been accomplished with the stickers, and it just isn't here. So you end up with this much higher shoulder to it. The rest of it, very good. Very, very good approximations. Given the limitations of the Lego medium, I think a lot of really good stuff done there. And I do appreciate that compared to the last round of Speed Champions cars, where you look at the Lotus Evija and it doesn't have prints going right up to the chine, the turn right there. It seems like they've improved their process, even though they claimed it was impossible to do better. It seems like they've improved their process. The printing for this is really nice and smooth around this complex shape here. Sorry, it's a little bit of smudge right there, but yeah, that is nice and smooth. And then the printing itself comes out towards the edges. The black goes right out towards the edge of the chine there, and almost to the very edge, the very lower edge of the piece as well. It's as close as I could reasonably ask for. And yeah, I think that they have shown that they can do good work here. It's just not quite designed the way it should be, just for that last little bit. Otherwise, everything else I think is captured well. This is the included minifigure, and I did not take the time to look up what specific driver this might represent. It does not officially represent any specific driver, but the print on the jumpsuit is very good, going right down into the hips, which I guess could have been printed slightly higher. There's a little bit of gap there, but down into the legs, that transition is excellent. Nothing around the sides, but that's typical. Really good print around the back, and they do, of course, as always, include both the hair piece and a helmet. It's just a plain black helmet, and then the wrench is included to help you to remove the hubs, the wheel hubs, if you need to. Speaking of hubs or inserts, Lego almost always includes an extra set. The color there is just black, and there you can see another of the newer pieces. And I did mention that I was going to show you the sticker sheet. Well, there's quite a bit to it. Check that out. Now, I didn't at first like the fact that there's so much white space here, so much wasted space. It just disturbed me a little bit when I first saw it, but then I realized what they were doing with the layout, and it totally makes sense. It's almost in a wrap format, W-A-R-A-P, and it really made it easy to find the pieces. A couple of them aren't exactly where I expected them to be. I think it's actually this set right here. I wish we're farther back, but overall, this layout was fairly easy to deal with. And in the Twitch chat, the issue came up, or the question came up, why don't they line these things up a little bit better? Why don't they design these to not have gaps? And definitely some of the stickers could have been designed that way. Like this one right here could have been wider and filled up that entire space. And then it could have been just die cut directly against the next one. But Lego has standards for, I believe, I don't know officially the reason for this, but I believe they have standards for how much room should always be allowed around the edges of stickers for especially younger builders to have a little room to make mistakes without having the sticker completely hanging off the edge. So it doesn't have to be perfect to be fully on the piece. But I thought, what if Lego had a different set of standards for their collector-focused models, where for those, at least if they're going to continue doing stickers, they can have a second option. So include a sticker sheet for folks who need that extra buffer, and then for folks who really want to make the best looking the best looking replicas and kits that they can have a wider cut, broader cut, more full set of stickers that will take up more of the space on each part. Again, the price of this was $25 US. It's 25 euros or 20 pounds UK for 280 pieces. It's the new standard price for a single regular Speed Champions car. And I think I'm going to get used to that, even though, more money is more money. Nobody ever wants to pay more for what feels like the same thing. Speed Champions is always pushing the boundaries, is always using the latest pieces, always trying to get better. But, more expensive is more expensive, period. Do I feel like this is a ripoff? No. I wish the canopy looked better. I wish that the greenhouse looked better. But this is a huge improvement over the generation and a half ago. Huge improvement, and it feels good. If you're a fan of this particular car, you're a fan of Porsche and endurance racing, or just endurance racing, the bigger higher end cars that are fully cowled and everything, then I think this is a pretty good set for you to get. Relatively easy to build too. Not a set to get if you're looking for the highest end of Speed Champions specific engineering. A lot of these sets are especially good. Now, this video did go longer than I expected, and hopefully my other Speed Champions reviews for this season will be shorter, but this was the first one that I did in this line, so I wanted to say a little bit extra, establish a little extra context and everything. And I hope that was worth it. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it to this point, congratulations. More to come, more live builds to be done over on my Twitch channel, including working on the custom stuff in the Lego City, and more reviews here, more news as new unveilings come out over on the old JANG channel. Bye for now.